Hey, thanks for tuning in. And Anuradha Sharda madam has joined us after quite a long time. Both of us have finished a lot of commitments here and there, and we are back doing the Prashna stuff once again. Thank you so much for joining.
Thank you so much for calling me aboard again, Ashwin.
So I think it's Omenology. This is something I think you have been very passionate about since our first Prashna video, and I'm just looking forward to hear more of it.
See, omens have been observed from time immemorial. Okay, even when they didn't pen astrology down as an astrology, they have been observing omens throughout. Okay, and it is called Shakuna in Hindi and Sanskrit, and it is called omen in English. But the modern day term that people give it is synchronicity. You're thinking about somebody, and somebody calls you up. You want to eat a pizza, and you go home and see somebody's ordered pizza for you. It happens like that.
Yeah,
so many times it happens. So this is known as synchronicity in today's time. So if you observe around yourself, you will always find answers to your questions. It's just a matter of observation. And when I say it's a matter of observation, I will always say that it's a matter of unbiased observation, or it's a matter of just a third person's observation. I do not put myself up there on the stage that I am observing. It is the event is being observed, or the happening around is being observed. So that is a third person point of view that's happening. I like to give a reference here of a referee. So people are very passionate about all sorts of sports. But why you always have a referee in a sport, be it cricket, be it football, be any sport, you always have a referee. Why do you have a referee? Because both the sides, both the teams playing will always be seeing things from their perception, right? But the referee sees the left and the right and the center and every which way, and he doesn't have any vested interest in any of the teams. So he gets a much clearer picture of the entire event that is going on. So when we are seeing something, when we are reading a Shakuna, it has to be from like that of a referee. It has to be unbiased. It has to be totally very subjective, and it has to be totally seen as it is happening.
Yeah, sure. I mean, I think that is the premise of being honest as an astrologer in many ways. So, and as you say, omenology is not a new thing, and it has been in Ramayana, it's been in Mahabharata, and it's been everywhere in Indian scriptures and Indian mythology and whatnot. So
it's not just Indian scriptures. I'm sure you would see.
No, it's already there. It's there in Babylonian. I'm just talking about what we are kind of. So, but still, it is there. In omenology has been a greater. I mean, omenology has been put into greater use, and there has been research universities in 7th and 8th century Mesopotamia, and where people used to submit reports of how things are going to fare in in Babylonian traditions. So it's very old, it's very ancient, it's even beyond ancient if we go far back in time. So what we have today is, I'm not sure if we have all those of what was done during the olden days, but still, at least I think, as you said, synchronicity has been the modern terminology that's been developed in the Western world is called as synchronicity. And we still in India, people still tend to
call it Shakun.
Yeah, they call it as Shakuna, where we still have a lot of association with the ancient scriptures and ancient terminologies, or scenarios of omens. So, and and many things such as Panchapakshi Shastra and all those are kind of Shakuna oriented.
Very, very Shakuna oriented.
Yeah.
And I'll just give you an example from the West also. You know, Achilles is the Helen of Troy story. So Achilles' mother had told him, okay, because she foresaw something, she told him, don't go for this.
Troy.
So he came, so he came to ask permission. He was one of the best warriors of this time. He was supposed to be undefeatable. Okay, so everybody wanted him to be a part of their, their battle, because in the battle part of their army, because it was known that he would be undefeated. Then their side would be undefeated because he was undefeated. So he comes to his mother to ask for permission. So she says that don't go for this battle, because if you went for this battle, you are not going to come back.
I think she said you gain glory, you gain fame, but you won't return.
Yes, you will gain immortal. You will become immortal, but you will not return. And if you stay back, you will be lost in the pages of time, sands of time. But you will lead a beautiful life with a family life and with children and everything. So he says, he laughs and he says, "No, ma'am, I'm going." And we all know that he never came back from that battle. So things, okay, so I'll not spend more. I'll just, if give you the proof of the pudding lies in its eating. So I'll just go ahead. And before I move on, I'd like to add one thing. Omens can be read in anything. It's just, again, a matter of perception, how and where you read it. And anybody can read it. You need not be well versed in astrology. You need not be well versed in highly educated. I know of people belonging to my grandmother's age, and they were not very educated ladies, but they would simply see and say, the omen is not good, please don't do it now. And it worked out like that.
Sure.
So anybody can read omen. So with that, let's start. And I take you back to just a couple of weeks ago, we had this very beautiful World Cup. Indians are fanatic about cricket. Many countries are. So this is about this World Cup that was going on. And so I had this thing on Shakuna or omens. Now, I will never ever quote, especially because, from my own, I would like to see if the classical texts do show, what I'm going to say. But before that, I always take help of the classical texts. So one of the classics is Devang Vallabha and on Prashna, and it gives beautiful, it's a very thin book, but it's a, good things come in small packages kind of thing. So, so in its chapter 2, it has a shloka, and that shloka very beautifully goes on to define that, there are 5 kind of omens, okay, and you have to judge those omens to give any prediction. But what needs to be taken is the strong omens are the ones that needs to be judged, not the weak omens. And they can be classified into 5 kinds. That is, it can be object, it can be animate or inanimate, their sound, their movement, action, and finally utpat. What do you mean by utpat? Utpat is something, it's an unnatural phenomenon. See, all of a sudden you and me are talking, and outside there is a hailstorm. It's raining, and there's we don't see, it's a hailstorm. So that's an utpat. It's something that was not predicted. That's not normal way of things. Okay. So that's an unusual phenomenon which could result in an evil. Okay? In Brihat Samhita also, Varamira has given laid a lot of emphasis on this thing of omens. So weak omen need not be taken into account. Now there's this match of England versus Africa, if I'm not mistaken. The first
South Africa. Yeah.
South Africa in the World Cup was hosted by India versus South Africa. England versus South Africa, and England was the hosting team. right? Because
Yeah.
the World Cup took place in England. So I get a question, I get a Prashna. I was doing something, and as you all have a habit of just getting up and seeing a mobiles. So on Insta, I see an anti-acid post, and that says, if you want to lead a happy life, mind your own freaking business. Okay. At the same time, I get a question from somebody saying, so what do you think who do you think is going to win? So I said, my question is, my answer is, mind your own business. So I think it's going to be the own team. If we want a happy, if we want a happy conclusion, it has to be the own team. So I think it's going to be England. Okay, my eyes fell on two words: own and happy. So I made that out. But then when I later on in the evening I said this to my son, he said that my son and daughter both are cricket fanatics, so they were like, it's a given fact, even if you didn't predict, it would be still be England, because England is a beautiful, the stronger of the teams. So I was literally put down, and I was like, okay, it's okay. So the next time the match comes up between India, and he laid a challenge, we'll see between India and Australia, whom you're going to predict. Okay. So I forgot about that. But when the match came, again, somebody asked me a question about that match.
Okay.
That time, what I was doing was, I was trying to gulp my food down, because there was something on my plate, and my daughter was sitting at the other end of the table. Something on my plate that I didn't want to give it to her at that moment. Okay, I had kept it hidden from her, and because I was going out, I had instructed that she be given that as a snack during the evening, because otherwise she would not eat her greens.
Uh-huh.
So now what happens is, this question comes: Aapka kya aaya, ma'am, ETP? That means, what would you say? What is your Shakuna? What would you say? So I just said that hidden players will do the job. Unexpected team, and I have put in my chat here also, because it's like people shouldn't think that I'm making it all up.
Uh-huh.
If you see the time, it's 1:20 p.m. and the match always starts at 2:30 or 3 because of the water and
3 o'clock. Yes.
Yeah.
Close to 3 o'clock in England. Yeah.
So I said,
3 o'clock in India, but 9 or 10 in England.
England, yeah, because we have the 5.5 hour difference.
Uh-huh.
So the unexpected team should win, and unexpected player who should do the job. So I said, and at home, the major consensus was, we are Indians. We are all Indians. And for us, it's like, it's not passion. It's like puja.
Okay.
It's like a bloodline. So though we root for India, the general consensus when they were discussing and debating back home, as I could understand, and also my friends, they said it's going to be Australia, because Australia is the stronger of the two teams. So I said, if most are saying Australia, I will say India. Okay. And we saw that India won that match. It's the first match that we're talking about between India and Australia. And finally, so it went on for quite some time. We were doing it on and off quite some time. We were doing it. I don't really do a lot of all these Prashnas. I don't really do, because Prashna is very potent. Okay, Prashna is very potent, and Prashna should not be taken very lightly. And you need not become very superstitious also about omens. You need to, as I said, you need to see it from the point of a referee, leave it and continue. I don't do Prashna too often for these things, because they're also gambling in nature.
Yeah.
There are lots riding on bets. I think there's billions of rupees for every match riding on bet. So I don't do that, because it erodes your fifth house.
Mm-hmm.
Even that Prashna that I do, I would never ever put it on a public platform the day before the match if somebody told me or anything. I will never. If people ask me this question on a public platform, I would never answer it. Why? Because it is opening your fifth house to a lot of negative influence.
Yeah, sure. And I mean, whatever you said in terms of someone unexpected is going to come and deliver in favor of India, or Australia is going to unexpectedly, I think that happened. So it's not that unexpected person. It's not about a specific person. I don't want people to kind of misunderstand that particular word, but there was a lot of things that were favoring whatever you said that happened during the match, because I remember that match. I am a cricket fanatic, so India scored 350 plus. I think 353 was Australia's target, and Australia was very, very cautious in their innings early on, and they did not lose any wicket, which was completely against Australia's natural tendency to approach a game. So which was an unexpected thing from the beginning itself. So, but still they were kind of consolidating, and they were kind of all set.
They played really well. They played really well.
Yes, exactly. They played well, but it was unexpected from the way they approached the game was unexpected from them. So that is the first number one unexpected point. And number two is like they were all set to kind of launch an attack on India, but you would not expect someone like Bhuvneshwar Kumar to come and pick up 2 wickets in 1 over, and 2 very, very crucial wickets. That is, see, I would not call Bhuvneshwar Kumar an unexpected person, but maybe you would expect Jasprit Bumrah or Hardik Pandya to kind of come and pick up an important, crucial wicket at that particular stage of a match. And Kohli trusted Bhuvneshwar Kumar, and he kind of delivered 2 wickets in 2 balls. Which completely turned the match against Australia, and from then on they were never going to win the match. So they were all set for a launch, like they needed 10 or 9 per over at that particular stage, and he just rattled.
It was downhill. Yeah, it was downhill.
It was gone. So what was expected to be a very close nail-biting finish ended up as a one-sided match unexpectedly. So there is a lot of unexpected things. I just wanted to bring out the premise of what happened in the match to relate to this. So
this Prashna, thank you so much, because I did not watch the match from very close quarters. I am really not that much into cricket.
I think I can really say more when it comes to England versus New Zealand.
Yeah, so I was not really, honestly speaking, I was not very, I'm more of a I'd rather read something, or if there's a show going on, a dance show or something, that is what I get to watch because of them. Otherwise, I'm not very much a cricket fanatic. But then with 2 teenagers around, you do have a lot of
influence.
Yeah, and generally in India, this is
religion.
It's a religion. So the people in my house also consider me as a nutcase if I'm not following. So sometimes I do get to see it, but I'm not crazy about cricket like most.
Yeah.
So now, the third and the final, not the third. So on and off, as I told you, I was doing it, but then it is going to drag this too long. So I've just put in this 3 of it. Because the first one I put it purposely because I was told that even if you had not predicted, even a layman could have predicted, and I was like, no man is hero to his volley.
I think it is an example of how omens work, even if it is also not logical to call South Africa a weak team than England, because when the World Cup had started at that particular point of time, it was the first opening match, and no one expected South Africa to submit so easily. So it was not expected. South Africa is not supposed to be a weak team. So I think it was a fair prediction, and
but the question is that no man is hero to its valley. So my children will definitely not consider me when it comes to a prediction. Okay.
Sure.
So I accepted that. And when you are conversing with a 19-year-old, you definitely have to accept a lot of things.
Sure.
So when it came to New Zealand versus England final, and you can see the time, it was 11:16. So what was your prediction was the question that was put forward to me. And at that time, we were working on a medical chart, okay, with kidney issues. Like I told you, I will repeat this again here. Like I told you, omens can be read anywhere. The first instance was on the WhatsApp where I see mind your own freaking business. The second instance is where I'm eating food, okay, on the dining table. The third instance is when I'm working and I get to see this chart. Okay.
Okay.
So before I move on, let me just say. So this is about, and the best part is I am using a chart to give the answer. So again, the Prashna at that moment was cast. You don't really need to cast a Prashna. This chart you're working on, it works as your Prashna chart.
Sure.
So, so when I see this, I see that now see the question here is the first somebody can take the lagna, somebody can do people can do anything, and in this the lagna is Digbali. Jupiter is in the, just a second, somebody came.
Okay. Yeah.
So the Prashna, I could have seen the lagna, in the lagna, the Jupiter is there. Jupiter is Digbali. It has directional strength. It's sitting in the house of a friend, everything. But my eyes are on Rahu Ketu axis. Okay. And then I see that the earth sign is always the south direction. We know if you're taking the signs and the elements, and we are also taking the direction. Fire sign east, earth sign south, then we have west as the air sign and north as the water sign. Okay, so I see this side. See, the south is, people can tell me that they have a Mercury, exalted Mercury, but look at the degrees of Mercury. Mercury has moved out of exaltation. You have a debilitated planet. You have a debilitated third lord of courage sitting there, or Parakram or Virya, whatever you want to call it. Okay, and that is Venus, and Venus is in deep debilitation.
Mm-hmm.
Then you have Sun, which is the Lagna Lord, which is going towards debilitation. It is moving towards its sign of debilitation. Nicha Bhilashi. This is also known as Nicha Bhilashi in Sanskrit. So, and top it all, to win up the entire game, you have Ketu sitting there. So Ketu is what? What is Ketu? Ketu covers it all up. Okay. So I see that the south is afflicted. To my opinion, south is very afflicted. It is the most afflicted sign in this chart. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Now, when I move towards the north, that is when I move to the Rahu axis, Rahu part of the axis, I see Rahu sitting there. So people can say that it's a clear win. Okay, the north will win. No, it's not a clear win, because you need to see that Saturn, which is retrograde in its own house, in the house of Paul, is at what degree? It is at 0 degree 39 minutes. That means it is definitely going to retrograde back into the sign of Pisces, into the north. So this house also becomes equally afflicted, if not equally, but it does become afflicted.
Sure.
Because Rahu and Saturn are similar in nature. And for this Lagna, that is, for this Lagna of Leo, Saturn is not a good planet. It becomes the sixth lord and it becomes the seventh lord Marrakesh. And even Rahu becomes the Marrakesh. It's not good. However, there is a saving grace. Jupiter is Digbali. That is, the lord of the sign is Digbali. And it is at 25 degrees. Okay. So it is Digbali. Very strong.
Sure. So,
and in the Navamsh, if you see, it will go into the house, it will go into the sign of Mars.
mm-hmm.
But then that is going into too much of details. You need to be attentive and saying when you're seeing omens, don't go into too much details. You need to see right there. I found out, I thought that it is not a matter, Ashwin, it's not a matter of which one is mm, going to win, honestly.
Okay.
It is a matter of who is going to lose.
Yeah, maybe. I think, yeah, I think it is important to balance out both the things, because at times, without going deep, it is difficult for us to ascertain which one is stronger or which one is weaker. So
Yeah.
whatever appears to be stronger might actually turn out to be weak, and whatever appears to be weaker might actually be strong. So, and looking at this match, I think I was completely heartbroken. I did not want to see New Zealand lose after putting in so much of hard work, because I thought New Zealand really deserved the game. Not to take away the credit from England, but still, this match has a lot of. It had a lot of, you know, dramatic situations. So, do you think, I actually cast a Horary chart for this time, 11:16 a.m.
Yeah.
that you said. So I just have a chart for that. So I think it is interesting if we can just also go through that.
We'll go through that also. We'll go through that also. But at this moment, then you see, so what I see is, it's not the win of the North. What I see is the fall of the South.
Mm-hmm. But I have a different perspective here. I see that North is less afflicted, so North has a better chance of coming up. Yeah. So that is, yeah. I think both are same, but I think it's different perspectives of viewing.
Exactly. That's exactly, you took the words right off your mouth. That is exactly what I was going to say. That it is the perceptive that counts, perception. I see it that the South is so badly afflicted that the South is going to go, but then the North is no less afflicted. So it has to be a photo finish match.
Yeah, sure.
And this is the photo finish that we've never ever seen before.
I think it's probably in my 29 years of watching. No, I think I I didn't watch cricket when I was born, but at least for 25 years, I think this is probably the best match that I've ever seen, and one of the most heartbreaking moments. I mean, as a cricket lover.
I said that it should be England. That is what I said, that it should be England. Again, I repeat that before, because before signing off from my presentation, I would definitely say that don't go in for gambling. Don't go in for gambling. For me, it was just a matter of predicting who could win and not. I am not putting in my money there.
Sure.
Don't do gambling, because it works badly on your fifth house, because fifth house is also gambling. See, the thing is, you just have one tap in your house and you have 10 taps. Wherever you take out, that purva punya matters. So why use it in that way? Don't forget, your fifth house is your grandparents, fifth house is your children. It's your mantra shakti, it's your intelligence. So work carefully on that.
Sure.
It's up to you to put up the chart if you want.
Okay. Yeah, I think it's again the north-south thing here. We have the Virgo rising, ruler of Virgo, Mercury is retrograde, and the most important thing here is that again, rulers of the south, Saturn is retrograde, and the other ruler of the south, Venus, is actually in the eclipse zone.
Yeah.
So this was on July 14th. So July 16th was lunar eclipse. Saturn is close to eclipse. Venus is close to eclipse, and Mercury is closing back onto its previous sign, Gemini. So there is a lot of tension and stress that is involved in South, but there is not a lot of disappointment in case of North, because we see that Mars is debilitated, but still there is a mutual exchange between Moon and Mars,
but there will be debilitation. So Ashwin, do you realize that with so much affliction throughout the World Cup, the chasing scores have been phenomenal. Say
exactly
53, and every time most of the times it's been above 300, right?
Mm-hmm.
And what do they put up this time for the finals?
240 plus, yeah.
240 plus. So I mean,
241, and it's almost unimaginable to see both the teams tying the major game and also the super over. So and yeah, I think there is the only saving grace if you look at this horary chart is the mutual exchange between Moon and Mars and also Jupiter's presence there. Even though Jupiter is retrograde, Jupiter is kind of saving all the Jupiter is present in one north, it's aspecting both the north, so that is the saving grace probably. So I mean, I don't want to synchronize with the actual event that happened, but still I think it acts as a good indication of how this north and south thing acts,
exactly.
and just
No,
complementing it
it's
for your
not. It's you're not doing that.
yeah.
You are simply see. If you see, you're in synchronicity with exactly what I said. The north and the south. I picked up the north and the south, and if you take up this chart with the north and the south, it will work like that.
Yeah, sure. So this is also one great example. So here for the south, Jupiter's grace is missing, while north has the Jupiter's grace completely.
It's a retrograde again. I
Yeah,
now say
it's
it's a retrograde.
yeah.
They had to play it 2 times. You see, there had to be a
Yeah.
retrograde.
Yes.
Mercury is also retrograde. North and south, both rulers are retrograde.
Yeah. Even Saturn is also a retrograde. So there is a lot of lot to digest for south than what it is for north. So that's
Exactly.
probably yeah.
And you see, the south rulers are afflicted by the Rahu Ketu axis.
Yeah, that's the first thing.
And also the south ruler, one of the south ruler is with the 12th lord of losses.
Yeah.
So all roads lead to the same Rome.
Sure. So yeah, I think it's I don't think I would have I would try to predict any match, or I would try to kind of do something like this, but it's interesting to experiment on how things work from Prashna point of view. So this is not to promote any cricket event or something like that, but this is to kind of
And I would definitely not answer. Let me be very vocal about it. I'm not going to answer anybody's Prashna on any of these subjects.
Yeah,
Who's going to win, who's definitely not. It should not be taken in that manner.
yeah, sure.
It was something that was done in a very close group of friends and students, and that is where it was supposed to mean. But I just wanted to use this as an omen. You have to be able to understand omens in Prashna also.
Sure. It's important to kind of know how to use it and where to use it and when to use it. So.
And I'll be very giving you an example just before we wind up. So I was stuck in a very funny situation, and there's a very good friend of mine who's a very good reader. So I just called him up and I said that, look, I'm stuck. Can you please do a Prashna for me? He said, I'm walking at the moment towards the mandir. I said, over and done with. You've done my Prashna, my work will happen. You're being sent to pray for me. So all right, it will work. And it worked out. And the situation worked out.
Sure. I think that's how things should be seen. There is a lot of things that's happening around us, but it is important for us to kind of choose what is the strong omen, as you said. So it's interesting. So omenology is it does not only add as a very useful feature for horary, but it is also very important in many cases of astrology, not just horary astrology. So thank you so much. It was an amazing discussion today, and
it was amazing to be here and to discuss one of my very favorite topics.
Sure.
Prashna. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Bye. See you.